Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pre-match. Newcastle game is going to be starting in about 27 minutes over here to the kickoff. So I'm here with Mecca, and we'll probably have a couple of other people hopping on now that the lineup is out, give their thoughts. Mecca, what's going on, man?
No, I don't much. Just watching Chelsea losing to Southampton, although Everton did win, so that was unfortunate.
That was
So
unfortunate, right? I wasn't expecting that. That's kind of scary for Leeds. I think that was kind of like an important game, but at the same time, Southampton winning is a shocker. Hey, there's a lot of 1-0 away wins. Is that like a good sign or what?
I hope. Well, it's a good sign if we don't book the trend. There's always an exception to every rule. We just don't want it to be us today.
Why can't just be just positive for God's sakes?
Well, because it's this season. What can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, sadly. So what do you make of the lineup? Pretty much the same 11. Van Dijk comes in for Matip.
I think we talked about it on Thursday. I think it's probably what everybody would. It's probably what everybody wanted, more or less. With Matip, Van Dijk coming in for Matip, but Nunez, Salah, and Gakpo did so well last week. Like they caused that little bit of chaos. We talked about Gakpo playing that Firmino role and dropping into the midfield a lot against Everton. And then Bajcetic, there's no reason to drop Bajcetic. He doesn't. He's 19. He doesn't need a rest yet. He hasn't played enough games for that, and he was fantastic in the midfield. And Henderson and him gave us that energy, which allowed Fabinho to just sit back and tackle and win the ball. So hopefully we're going to see more of that today.
So you were more keen on, like, I was questioning to see, like, if we would see Bobby and Jota. I felt like this is the first time in a long time where Klopp had to make a decision in terms of, who to start up three. It's felt like until now it's been whoever is available. Speaking of available, from a sunny, somehow, where are you at? Like Florida or something? Where are you at, man?
NC, baby. Hot and cold at the same time. It's strange.
So what do you make of this lineup, Jamie? Like we're just talking about Van Dijk, and basically same 11, Van Dijk coming in for Matip.
Yeah, fairly happy. I mean, it seems like it could be a bit early for Verge, but if he's good to go, then happy days. Obviously, he walks straight back into the 11. So the midfield. A lot of questions being asked recently of Fabinho, so good to see him up in his game. And like Maka said, Bajcetic is just hard to bench the kid. He's unreal. But let's see if he can make it the full 90 or maybe get subbed off around 70 or so.
Are you happy with the front three?
Yeah, fairly happy. It's just a question of whether or not we can get that 1-0 win that we're after. I think the Nunez Gakpo relationship has a lot to go yet, but Gakpo definitely started to show signs of what he can do on the turn and playing that role that we love to see Bobby doing. So let's see.
So Mecca, are you was this your choice in terms of one center back to be taken out for Van Dijk? Were you picking Matip as well to be the odd one out?
No, I probably would have picked Gomez just out of sheer experience almost. Like Matip is just a more experienced defender, but it really didn't matter to me as long as the front three stayed where it was, because that was the key to me. I will happily concede 3 goals today if we get 4 up front. I don't think that's going to happen, but I will be quite happy with that because I just want to see the front 3 click. Even if it's not perfect, I just want to see another step from what we saw against Everton, because I thought it was quite good against Everton. And if the midfield plays as well as they did, then we're going to see those chances. And just to put my positive slant on it, my prediction today is we get a goal from each of them. Nunez, Gakpo, Salah score today. That's my prediction.
Man, that is a bold one, just because it's not a team that concedes a lot. So you're going for 3 goals for us. So you gotta love a Maka pre-match bold prediction. How about you, Jamie? Gomez over Matip? You on board with that, or are you a Matip guy like Maka?
It's difficult because they're both not really covering themselves in a lot of glory recently. So I mean, obviously the Everton game, they done fairly well, as could be expected in recent form. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably go with Gomez too over Mata.
So we got Mecca's crazy prediction. Before we let you go, Jamie, give me a final score prediction over here.
If Maka's going for the 4-3 crazy game, then I've been harping on the 1-0 heart attack wins for a while. So give me a 1-0 heart attack. I'll take it.
Hey, I'll take either freaking one of them, to be honest with you. I just want the 3 points. Got to get that streak going. Hey, Jamie, enjoy the game, man, and then we'll see you in the post-match. So, the front three, you said you kind of like keen on this. Is it just so that they get some synergy going, or you feel like Bobby and Jota are not ready yet?
I without having the background knowledge of what they've been doing in training, it's hard to tell. With Jota, I would just be afraid of that popping again if he's pushed too early, too soon. For me, now it's just like, how quickly is he recovering the older he gets? That's the only thing for me. But Gakpo's the future, so I'd rather see him start and get the minutes and then put Bobby in when there's like 20 minutes to go or thereabouts. Almost a like for like substitution, and if it worked out, it would be kind of like, Gakpo has just terrorized you. Now we've got the master, and he's got to do more of the same to tired legs. I like that idea. But yeah, I Nunes and Gakpo are the future. Salah, Firmino aren't, and probably Jota isn't either in the long term. So I'd rather get as many chances for Gakpo and Nunes to develop a partnership of some description. In just given the injury situation for Jota and Firmino right now. Had they been playing for a good few weeks, then it might be a different conversation. I might have opted for Firmino instead of Gakpo. But right now, I thought that it looked so good on the break against Everton. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I think with like a guy like Jota, I'm totally okay with him coming off the bench because I think it's a guy that performs well coming off the bench. Not everybody does. It's kind of like depends on the player, depends on being used to it at the same time. I feel like he can come in and make something happen. Gally always talks about him just popping out of nowhere and like scoring a goal when it wasn't expected. With Bobby, you rarely see, you see games change, but you don't see him a lot as an impact sub. We've seen it in the past against, like the infamous PSG game and stuff like that. But normally, I think I would rather have him like starts and put that pressure on early with the press and then bring Gakpo to run at a more tired Newcastle back line. But I hear what you're saying. Does Gakpo's pressing worry you at all? His defensive work rates?
It doesn't worry me because I don't think he's not trying. I just think he doesn't get it yet, which we saw with Nunes at the start of the season as well. Like it's just the ideas aren't fully there, but it's not a lack of effort. It's not like watching Mario Balotelli try to press. Let's put it that way.
I hear you.
But what I'm more excited about is the speed, and as he said, his speed on the turn as well, which it could be crucial because it may come down to Newcastle, us having to take advantage of a Newcastle attack breaking down rather than us trying to create something through passing and movement and all that, which we've seen this season just doesn't work. We are much, much better playing on the transition than we are playing the Brendan Rodgers ball type tactics that we have been laboring at for so long. So I really want to see Nunes, Salah. He has lost pace, but he's still fast. Gakpo just running at the Newcastle back four. And I have a feeling that Nunes is going to cause Trippier nightmares today. That's what my impression is going to be. He's going to give him absolute nightmares.
I'm hoping too, and I'm hoping it would keep Trippier from like pushing up a little bit, just worrying about him. Sidus is he said this before in the comments, like he really wants the 4-2-3-1, but it's not something that I feel like Klopp is like, no, this is what we've been practicing, so we got to roll with this one. He doesn't want to like tweak that a lot. So if you picked one guy, that's the most important guy that has to have a good day today, who do you pick?
Probably Henderson. Because if he has a good game, the team has a great game. If he's off it a little bit, there just isn't, number one, there just isn't that level of intensity. If Henderson is just a little bit like 90%, say, but I don't see anybody else other than maybe Bajcetic who will pick up the reins, and that'll just be through sheer youthful exuberance more than anything else, like a leadership quality. So if Henderson has a great game today, I think we're going to have a great game. If he doesn't, it could be a war of attrition.
I feel like that's a theme, and probably not a great theme, right? To have, one of your oldest guys that can probably give you 90 regularly be the key guy. Because I almost feel like, and I was talking about this on the Monday podcast after the Everton game, I get the feeling that this this team, this midfield specifically, goes as far as Henderson takes them. And today, I know, like Victor was mentioning on the Discord channel in the comments about, like, being worried about having Gomez and Trent on the same side. I am too. I think the only thing that can save that side and make Mo function well is the fact that Henderson is there.
I think even if you switched, if you put Kate in for Henderson and then just switched sides and had Bajcetic on the right, I think that would still be covered. Just sheer, as I said, youthful exuberance. He'd be like Trent when Trent burst on the scene and Trent wanted to be everywhere on the field. Bajcetic isn't letting us down so far. He's putting in the minutes, he's putting in the yards, and he's just maybe lacking that little bit of soccer intelligence that you get when you're 28, that you don't get when you're 21. But it had it been Keita and Thiago and Fabinho in the midfield, I think we'd have been in trouble a little bit, because dropping back is not Keita's thing. Thiago drops back, but he's just bad at it. He's like Paul Scholes almost. Like, he's trying, but he just doesn't quite get what he's supposed to do when he's there. So I think in terms of the midfield three, I think we are very well set up to cover Gomez and Trent on that side. And I think we're also covered for Robertson on the opposite side. It's nice and well balanced in that sense. Which is why I'm more focusing on the front three. I think if they can connect even a little bit better than they did against Everton, Newcastle might be in for a hard day.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the fact that they don't concede a lot. I mean, let me ask you this way, I guess. How do you see the game unfolding? Like, if I asked you to give me possession numbers that we'll see at the end of the game, what kind of a ratio?
I think they'll slightly shade it, like 55 to 45, but we'll have more shots and shots on target. That's how I see the game going. We're going to play in the transition if Everton is anything to go by. And I don't think they will be able to cope with the speed of our transitions, because if I remember correctly, their back four is not particularly fast. I mean, Trippier's never been known for speed as far as I can remember. He's always been a very positionally oriented defender. Schär, I don't think he's particularly fast. So they're either going to sit back in their box, which I don't see an Eddie Howe team doing that a lot. I think that they're kind of like, he's kind of like Brendan Rodgers and Pep Guardiola. If they have the ball a lot, then they can't concede. So he's always played that nice football. But I don't think they're a Sean Dyche, backs to the wall, two banks of four on the 6-yard line and then hit it long to the two forwards kind of a deal. So it could work in our favour that when they're at home, they're going to be expected to do some attacking. And when that breaks down, we're going to take them to the cleaners.
Yeah, man, you're like really optimistic about this. This is great. Because I'm kind of like in the middle here. I mean, I had the optimism of this is the game we turn around and stuff. And I know we saw the Everton game, and like Everton did win this week, blah, 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 but they are a horrific team. So I'm still unsure of if we were good or they made us look good. And I think this is kind of like a good game to see that afterwards. You think it comes in a good time, though, knowing we're playing against a team that will, I mean, it's an important game in terms of top four, too. It's just not about, like, I mean, you're not just playing, I don't know, let's pick a team over here, like Forest or Fulham or something like that. You're playing against probably one of your biggest opponents into squeaking into the top four.
I mean, it's a big game for Newcastle because they haven't been in this position for a while, challenging for Champions League places this late into the season, whereas we've been in this position before under Klopp where we've had to claw back points. It didn't ultimately work out for us, but we know we can do it. We've been in the big games, we've been in the Champions League finals, so we have that. Even if we have new players, we have that retained memory in the team with Henderson, with Milner, with Becker, with Alisson, with Van Dijk. There's people there who can lead the line. So I think if it comes down to a mentality thing, I think we're better prepared than Newcastle. If we're talking about, we always make the joke about Arsenal ling up their season every year, but Eddie Howe's never been in this position at this level. Most of those Newcastle players probably haven't been in this position at this level. So it could come down to, the first hiccup they have, it starts to fall apart because all of the luck goes from you, as we all know. You don't get the bounce of the ball, you don't get the calls from the referee, and then suddenly one loss turns into 3 losses, and then you're hoping for a draw just to turn it around. So I think they're on the precipice of that moment, whereas we're hopefully looking to start to come up from our down period, and finish the season strongly.
So it sounds like you're sold on the Everton game being the moments where things turned around. If you have too much positivity, enter Bickler. It says, if you don't pressure them in possession and force turnovers in dangerous areas, we'll be down by 2 by half. And I think that's kind of like my fear too. I have to give him that because their front 3 kind of worries me against our back 4, just because I think I don't feel as comfortable. But at the same time, I feel this is the most defensive midfield we can put out there. But you have always dangerous, perhaps sometimes trying to do too much, say Maximin, and then you have Isak and Almiron, who's a pressing machine as well. How worried are you about their front 3?
I'm not worried.
Part of the 4-3 prediction to go.
I'm not worried. My prediction is actually 4-1. I think they will score. Well, I don't think it's going to be that kind of a game. I think all 3 of our strikers. Well, my prediction is all 3 of our strikers will score at least 1 goal each. I don't know where the 4th one will come from. Maybe a Trent free kick or something like that. But I'm not worried about them because that midfield worked. We can talk about how bad Everton were, but we have to remember it was a Sean Dyche Everton, and we could see the major difference between his Everton and Lampard's was they were organised. They weren't good, but they knew where they were supposed to be generally against us, which is why it was only 2-0. Because the way we played, if we played that against Lampard's team, that would have been 4 easily. Because they were all over the shop with Frank Lampard. They knew what they were supposed to do. They just weren't quite getting there as quickly as maybe Sean Dyche wanted them, and which you could see in the Leeds game. They were even a little bit better at it again. They knew where. Like I just kind of digress a tiny bit. I just noticed because I am a Sean Dyche fan. I like him. I think he's a great coach. But the difference between him and Lampard was at 1-0 up, Sean Dyche told his players where he wanted the ball to be. He wasn't just like lock it down. He wanted them to put the ball in certain areas because he knew that's what's going to help them to win the game. So they were a little bit organised than they had been against us. So while it wasn't a major test, I still think we had to play that well just to get the 2 goals. So I think if we can play that well again today, I think we'll have a little bit much more for Newcastle than they expect.
See, this is what Bickler says, and this is what I worry about too, and that's why your 4-1 prediction to me that makes it a wild prediction. I'm all for it, don't get me wrong, but the fact that they don't concede more than goal a game, that's what worries me. Is it's not a team that concedes a lot, but I know what you're saying. This is a game where we might be able to hit them on the counter. But do you feel like it's a team that would collapse that bad? That they
just to be clear, I didn't say we're going to hit them on the counter. I said we're going to hit them on the transitions, which is a different thing. Counter-attacking is when you let them come to you and then you break out from your half.
So you're talking about
we're going to press the hell out of them in the midfield, and we're going to win that ball. And as they're coming forward, we're going to hit those spaces, which is what I noticed against Everton. That's why I like that Gakpo, Nunez, and Firmino in there would do the same thing. It's just that little triangle because there was no number 9. We didn't have a number 9 against Everton. It should have been Gakpo on paper, but it wasn't because he did the Firmino thing of dropping in. That created space for Nunez and Salah. So we're going to hit them hard, I hope, but we're going to play off their breaks. So when they make that bad pass in midfield, that's where we hit them. We're not going to be dropping back and then, sitting at the edge of our box and then trying to play on the break, except for maybe set pieces. But yeah, past results don't predict future performance. They're just results. So the fact that they have only conceded an average of a goal a game means shag all to this game whatsoever. It's a completely different game. And anything can happen. That's the thing that everybody in soccer should know at this point. You can say that their performance defensively has been good, But we're later on into the season. They're playing a different opponent. We have different needs and different aims. So I'm not putting too much stock in that. I think we have enough about us to put more than 3 goals against them.
Yeah,
That's not to say Bickler is wrong, by the way, because I love Bickler's opinions, but I just have a feeling this is the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I guess you can look at it that way and say, well, then they're due. But at the same time, you got to look and say, I mean, this is how they play. This is how they roll. It's like, back in the day, well, for a while this year too, like you knew we were going to concede the first goal kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's like my biggest worry, because I feel like it's a team that can defend. And if they take an early lead, that's probably my biggest fear in this game, is if they score first and if they can defend instead of kind of like having to, play more attacking and stuff like that, it's a team that can defend. And I don't know if we're going to be able to open it with that front three. That's why I would probably love to see Bobby. I mean, this is my prediction too. I mean, Trevor says 2-1, good guys, and then makes a wild prediction that says second goal is going to come a little earlier than last time. Couldn't be later, I guess. But yeah, I mean, and Brian Shelton says very cagey 2-1 as well. I think my heart says 2-1, but I think my brain is really saying more of like a 1-1 or a 0-0 stalemate for this game. But it's going to be like a physical battle. That's why I like that midfield. Really depends on how well Hendo and Fab play, really, more than anything else. So you're sticking with your 4-1 before we go?
I'm sticking with the 4-1. I think we're going to pose a problem for Newcastle that they haven't had for a while, which is if they score early, do they kick it long to us and have us continually press them with the ball, or do they keep it and have us continually press them defensively with good defensive pressure? So I think if they, I don't think they'll score first. I think they'll score, but not first. We might surprise ourselves and get the first goal for a change.
Well, let's hope for it. Let's hope. We're still laughing in like an hour and a half, 2 hours over here. When we're back for the post-match, tune in then. 5 minutes to kick off. Let's all head over to the TVs and enjoy another Liverpool win. Take care, guys.
And we can all laugh at me afterwards.
Or that. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I'd rather say, Mecca, you're the best. You got the prediction right. This will be a rare occasion I do that too. See you guys after the game.